you will see after the different presentation of the panelists, imagine you're a baby and you move up an inverted pyramid. So you will have tools to interact between the parents and their children. So the education starts actually at home before going even to nurseries and so on. So there is a tool developed by one of the panelists to introduce it. Then you've got a second level where it gives the opportunity, let's say whether you are in high school, at the university, or developing your career, that you can access among the best books. There is an application who can translate them in different language, a language that you can read, and also have a summary of the book. So that's the second aspect. Then you will have Dr. Haifa. She was going to be with us from Florida, but unfortunately something happened last minute. But she did make a video to introduce basically the upscaling and the learning and development during our lifetime. So, and there will be one of the panelists will address the social dimension, what has to be changed, and so on. So I just wanted to that the learning and development is not just going to the primary school, secondary school, and university. It's a lifelong learning. I'm 71 years old, and I learned a lot today from most of you who have. So we will never stop. If we want to excel, we have to continue learning to be on top of things. For example, at my age, I try to be up to date with all these technologies. So imagine, it's very easy for my son, but for me, sometimes I call on him to help. But we have to continuously keep learning. So it's not a process where it stops. It stays with us lifelong. So what I will ask our panelists, will ask first to introduce himself, that who he is and his background and what he's going to talk about. Then I will ask Mrs. Ibtihel to do the same, and then the same Mrs. Jalila. And then later on we'll have the presentation of Dr. Haifa Maamar. She's the executive director of Sale University, and she last year was elected the best leader for emerging technologies in the Florida state in the US. Okay, so Haithem, can you start? Yeah.
Thank you. Hello, hi. My name is Haithem, and I'm the co-founder of a startup called Cluster Lab, and mostly known under our product name, which is Reedz. So Cluster Lab is specialized in mobile apps and AI as well. We've launched 3 years ago, and we're currently backed by VC and very strong investors. We'll be talking today about Reedz. I'll introduce Reedz, which is our mobile app. In a nutshell, it offers audiobook summaries, but we'll be also comparing it in terms of emissions and what is better. Is it digital books or physical books? And I think it's really interesting from a carbon footprint perspective.
My name is Ibtihel Fekih. I'm a software project manager with 9 years of experience. I'm also a junior entrepreneur. I'm the CEO and the founder of the Kbayroun. It's about building educational games with the appropriate learning methods.
Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Do you hear me? Yes. Okay, my name is Jalila Hedhli. I am lead social impact advisor at Sustainable Square with 15 years of experience in international relations, civil society development, sustainability on the human aspect level. Voilà.
Okay, thank you. Shall we start with the first presentation? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yours.
This is Ibtihel. This
Okay.
is your presentation. You wanted to
When-
go through it.
When it's about kids, it must be joyful. So before telling you about Kbayroun, my company Kbayroun, I want to say that a few months ago, I attended to the Optimistic Tunisia too. I was just a participant, a simple participant, and I had a really interest to be here today, and I believe that the dreams became true. So today I'm here as a speaker, and also I'm as a TTU executive member. Before I want to share with you a story of a boy that inspired me. He named it Iyad. He has a speech delay until he was 3 years old. So he received some therapy sessions based on 45 minutes of playing educational games. It was for 2 years, and his parent was very engaged in in his problem. Now, yet he has 7 years old. He speaks well, and he is a truly gifted boy. Like Iyad, there is many children that had several behavioral problems, learning delays, and speech delays. Some others had screen addiction. In fact, 87% of children had screen time exceeding the recommendations. On the other side, a lot of parents lack of the learning methods. How can they play with their children and spend joyful moments? This is why we decided to develop interactive educational games that incorporate the appropriate educational methods, and we established clubs with playful activities in kindergartens and attractive parks. Our products are very useful for the parents with their children. The therapist who had the real need for educational games, and the kindergarten teachers and nurseries. So who we are? Kbayroun wants to make learning fun. It's with parents. So we want to tell to the parents that the priority is for their children, even if they are tired after a long journey of work. Kbayroun makes learning fun because children are more likely to learn when they are having fun, such as playing our educational games, creating their own games, and they make some creativity about playful activities. We are creating effective and engaging resources for children's daily learning, such as educational games, interactive book, activity books, and also a daily routine calendar. We want to make them relevant to our children and their interests. After 2 years of hard work, we managed to launch our first product. It's about a multifaceted card game with it contains 50 cards printed on both sides, and the objects present on those cards are well selected to promote different scenarios and to give another mindset of how we can play. So for the clubs, we established a clubs on an interactive park. It was about animating some educational activities and playful ones, and in some kindergarten to make them really benefit from our activities. Behind Kbayroun, there is a community. We wanted to bring parents together to encourage them to share their activity about with their children, and at the same time, the others can really get inspired. However, when it comes to climate change, it can be a bit difficult to explain it. This is why the challenge in how we can explain it. So we must talk about climate change openly and honestly with our children. Let your children know that the climate change is a real problem, but that is one that we can solve if we work together. Also, answer your question, your children's question, and about the climate change in a way to appropriate for their age. So make it simple to be understood. Model sustainable behavior at home. It's about reduce your family's carbon footprint by making change like driving less, recycling more, etc. Get your children involved in climate change action by participating in some activities in school, in kindergarten, and in their association environment. So as a family, how we can participate and how we can get involved for this topic. It's by watching a documentary about climate change, visit a museum or science center with an exhibit on the climate change, read a book about climate change, plant a tree or garden, and get involved in a community of climate change action. For this topic, we developed our first version of our interactive book. It's called The Earth Got a Bobo. It's very significant for our children, in which we can learn, interact, and enjoy together. We start with explaining in few words and by some pictures, the greenhouse effects, how can be really understood, and the next page is with some of stickers. The children are invited to learn about global warming, its causes and its effects. Next, at the third page, we want to keep in mind in the children and their parents that there is no planet B. So we want to make it to care about it, and we want to get involved in this issue. For the fourth page, we reiterate the importance of the energy, the renewable energies, and how we can really participate. For the Kbayroun quiz, it's really to invite children to draw their thoughts. How can they propose their solution, and how can they participate in this topic? And the last page is reserved for some gifts. It's about some stickers that can remind the children about the topic of climate change, and they can understand more this topic. Before finishing, at the end of this presentation, I want to say that behind Kbayroun is his mom, which is me. I was very involved and engaged in his problem, and it was from some of playful activities that I shared on my social networks. I became engaged in this adventure, and I launched Kbayroun just for sharing this experience, and why not we can solve a lot of problems and issues in psychology or problems of our children. To finish, I want to say thanks for TTU for this opportunity today, because TTU is it's for building a country of talent, but Kbayroun is building better family life. Thanks.
Okay, maybe we will go and I will ask later on the question.
Yes.
Shall we have after?
I'll go quickly. Yes.
Haifa,
Is this my? Okay, thank you. Sorry, it's okay. It's okay.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so Jalila. Okay, so hi, hello everybody. So my participation today is going to be about empowering youth to develop innovative solutions for climate action. So I introduced myself earlier. I am Jalila Hedhli, and I work for Sustainable Square in social impact. Alors, that's about Sustainable Square. So time-wise, I'm not going to, prepare like a long presentation with lots of details, but it's not appropriate for the late afternoon, but it's okay. Yeah, sure. So actually, first I'm going to go through the Tunisia environmental risks, youth vulnerability, then rewiring the educational system, which should be rewired, and I think that this is what's going on in Tunis for the moment, in Tunisia, sorry. And also I'm going to give just some tools how to make youth empowered for a resilient future. So we know them all, we spoke, we do. So it is the objective of the quality education, the goal number 4. And when I've been in this field for many, many years, I mean, I'm a graduate in international affairs and civil society development. And once I go through all those areas, I've been involved in them. And all the time I find myself, like all the time, the origin of the problem is this one. It's not a problem. The problem can be a solution, and the problem are, a potential for change. If we treat this one, it's going to affect all the other areas. It's about consciousness. So here, where's Doctor? She shared in the morning some figures about the global north and the global south, and we speak about the climate justice earlier. So we see the disequilibrium, how life, you see, this is the global south, and this is the global north. The polluter, the non-polluter, non-polluters who are paying the bills for this, for those. So here, this is the situation today. There's a discrepancy between the haves and the have-nots, and the have-nots should now develop and take care of the sustainable development. I mean, they should grow, but sustainably, which is costly, and we saw all the challenges throughout the day. So for those to grow, they should have, some funds from the polluted countries, but at the same time, here, it's not like to say, okay, we need to ask for money. We can continue asking for the loss and damage. Okay, we can continue. Thank God we are not from the least developing countries, but we can continue. But at the same time, I'm speaking about youth here as a power, as an engine, which can transfer this into a green half of a picture. I'll show you why and how. Okay, so this actually I prepared for long about the environmental vulnerability and to the climate change in Tunis. So the problems of water. Unfortunately, Tunisia is facing already the scarcity, and we saw what happened last year. We started, monitoring, and we opened, we don't have really access to potable water during the summer. Here also about the climate projection for agricultural production, which is going to be affected, which is already affected, impact on crops and land, regional vulnerability, and here also there's also a half green and half yellow within Tunisia.
On the education, learning, and
yes, this is the yes. So here also so this is another issue. So we're going to go to the education and development. This is the other issue that can be addressed. So vulnerable areas, the water stress, the heat waves, and the job fragility. Let me go and skip to, so all those issues, Tunisians and Tunisian youth said, where is وين سياستنا المناخية? So where is our climate policy? And here where we speak about the mitigation, adaptation, and means of implementation through a reinvented education. The education that we know is no longer useful at all. I've been teaching the last 12 years in Paris, and I've been learning from my children, from my students. So here, okay, what we have today, where are we today? We are in an unwise growth. We have grown, we have built concreted surfaces without thinking of the damage we are inflicting on the planet. Fragile institutional infrastructure. The infrastructure is perfect in Tunisia, but it has never been rehabilitated and put to date, to face the challenges. Heavy red tape, and you know it very well, those are the challenges, and clear vision and strategy. Globalization effects, the unconsciousness and the unconscious consumerism, and that's a global issue, and we have it also in Tunisia. The production and the overconsumption. La baguette in Tunisia, you know how many bread we buy, because it is, throughout time, I discovered that Tunisia is a really welfare state par excellence, where most of our basic needs are subsidized by the country, not, like many countries in the rest of the world. So there's amongst the biggest issues I found while digging onto what's going wrong in Tunisia is the crisis of trust, efficiency, and transparency. And the most important one is this one. You know what is it in Arabic? Exclusionist mindset. Can you, okay, in Arabic, in Tunisian. Yeah, how do you say it in Arabic? Okay, in Tunisian. No, it is what youth said, al-hugra. Voila. So that's what has caused the bare lands and waves of brain drain and illegal immigration, because even for those who are really, for those who have their diplomas and all, they just flee the country. And we have seen that the last decade, how people are fleeing the Mediterranean. How can we sort out this issue? The how is very important. So install an adapted education. So mashallah, since the morning I'm listening to many IQ, all the figure, lots of engineers, lots of brains, perfect. But we have something which is missing here, the AI, emotional intelligence. This is what is missing, I think, in our educational system. And once we get it, because that's will help us to have a vision and to work towards that vision. In this emotional intelligence, we should seed the leadership, self and social skills, and empathy. Yes, empathy. Tunisians have a lot of empathy, really. We are good. We are good listeners. When you see somebody in the street, I saw it in Paris. When you see an SDF, a homeless person, you walk by. In Tunisia, you cannot go indifferent. I don't know. This is this is like personal opinion. Anyway, enhance also responsible and inclusive culture. That's what against an anti-hugra thing. Strategy, promote rural technology and AI, and encourage the entrepreneurship. I have a video here from the youth champion, a climate champion in Nairobi, who has changed, the plastic rubbish to a concrete. I mean, to do the pavement in the streets. But I'm going to share it with you later. We have even I am authorized to share with you the whole movie, and they have won with that movie to raise awareness about entrepreneurship and the power of from nothing you create something. So it is so inspiring. And creative thinking for sustainable growth and transition. So youth in Tunisia, the engine for the yellow part I have showed you, it is youth's potential. So it is limitless and should be oriented with the vision, because if you have energy and you don't use it in the right direction, it is a waste of energy. So this is very important, and it should be like purposeful and green and south strategy. I will go quickly here. Another aspect I wanted to highlight today about the quality education is girls' education, because those are from the World Economic Forum, and which is really intrinsically linking the climate environmental change to women and to girls' education, because either you like it or not, or either you accept it or not, invisibly and consciously, we are not educated in the same way. Both, I mean, masculine and the feminine are not, even unconsciously. I know Tunisia is a very feminist country, but in orienting the in the choices of every day, it's not the same. It's not the same. Let's say paradigm. For example, girls, they don't play with cars. Or if they play with cars, when they are young, toys, they will say, okay, why? Or if they don't play soccer. And boys, they're not supposed to cry, because why, Rajal? Why are you crying? Though it's emotion, so you're frustrating a human being. I don't know. That's to be discussed this synergy. So education. Yes.
We have to close at 6.
Okay, let's. Okay. So I'll go through this, and I'll send those. So here, education in Tunisia and globally. So rehabilitate the existing public infrastructure, which is there. Universities, schools, we have them, but they are not rehabilitated. Enhance soft skills and leadership. Ensure training and retraining programs. And training and retraining programs. Mehdi told me that there's an initiative which is consultancy in Tunisia about how youth and how children and how everyone wants to have the educational system. And I was happy to see like it is implemented, and it is starting. I mean, they started to have the training centers operational, but the idea behind, I saw an interview, and then the lady, she said, yes, I'm learning English and French because when I travel, when I will find an opportunity outside, I would like to use that language. So you see here, we are putting the strategy, but we're not thinking about the purpose, and we are not, that soft thing is not there. We are not educating, and we are not putting centers for, let's say, with a clear, let's say, vision to, to make people stay at home and rebuild Tunisia. So also to scale up technology and AI for a purpose also. I'll skip this. So here, those are brains, and that's the engine of Tunisia. That's the half of the picture we saw earlier, which is fleeing Tunis. And this is what we have. This is our potential. And normally, this is the engine that if with a good education, with a good, good to be discussed, with a proper education, this capacity, those people should not leave the country if they were empowered, if they know that it's their land, if they know that they can do things here, if they know that they can, plant trees instead of, deforesting, selling, cutting out the olive trees and selling them to the European market, parallel market. So this is what we are losing, and unfortunately, if we do not address these issues with consciousness, okay, because we have training centers, we have teachers, but who are not trained to deal with it.
That is an issue to do with the situation of the country.
Yeah.
And I will come and
Yes.
Basically bring the essence of it.
Sure. So it is an issue of the country, and I mean, internationally speaking, we have also the breach, the gap between the haves and the have-nots. In each country, it's different, but we have it. So sorry for if I took more time than
Well, thank you.
15 minutes.
Actually,
But normally it's 10 minutes. Je vais pas parler plus que...
hi. So the good news is that I'll be really quick. I'll try to condense the whole thing in 5 minutes. So my name is Haithem. I'm the co-founder of Cluster Lab. So we're known for Reedz. Reedz is a mobile app that offers Arabic audiobook summaries. What we do is we get the international bestsellers. We condense them in 20-minute format. And that's why I'm good at condensing. And we do them in Arabic so that you can listen to when you're traveling or when you're working out, etc. So here's how the app looks like. So you have a homepage where you have the entire library of books ranging from art and history to business self-development. You could read or listen to it. So we've launched 2 years ago. We have now more than 100,000 downloads across the region. We have 2 offices, one here and one in Tunis, and we're VC-backed. But this hasn't been the case since the beginning, of course. When we started, we were looking for money, like from anywhere, whether it's investment or grants. And back then, there was a lot of grants for green projects. So we were thinking that we were actually green because we were helping save trees from being cut to produce books. We're doing everything digital. And it was not that straightforward, actually. So we'll take a quick look at the physical book industry in the US for the last year. So they sold around 800 million copies of books, which is around 3 times their population. And the industry is worth $14 billion, which is almost half of our Tunisian GDP. For that, they had to cut around 32 million trees to produce those books. 32 million trees, which is our population times 3. And they produced 40 million metric tons of CO2, which is the annual emissions of 8 million cars. 8 million cars only for books. So paper are created actually from trees, and that's obvious, but it goes through a whole chain. And this whole chain, I would have gone into it deeper, but for time constraints, I'm skipping it. But this is actually why it produces this much CO2. And since it's an industry that has a lot of money, it has a lot of consequences as well. And you get tree farming like this, and after they become like this, because you have like people having lands and farming trees, and then they cut them so that they produce paper, and it has a lot of drawbacks actually. So you have, for example, biodiversity loss. If you take a piece of land and choose only one type of tree, then there are some animals that prefer other type of trees, so they have to leave. So you lose the biodiversity. And there are other consequences. And the last one is the one that actually surprised me because it causes deforestation. When you have this, it causes deforestation because what actually happens is that people, or those who have those businesses, they remove natural forests and they replace them by farm trees. So, like, on the outside, they seem like they're planting trees, but they're actually destroying forests to plant a specific type of tree so that they could use that specific type for books. So knowing all of this, we could conclude easily that digital books are way better than physical books. But it's not the case. It's much more complicated than that. So digital books are around 20% of the total book market, only 20%. So it's dominated by physical books. Among this 20%, you have the $2 billion market for the EPUB and those books on PDF, and $1 million for the ebooks, the audiobooks that you listen to. For the ebooks, you need the e-reader, which is the Kindle or the Kobo. And it's a mess in terms of emissions because you have to build the hardware. It has a battery, it has lithium, and it has gold as well. And for the extraction of 1 ton of gold, it involves moving 50,000 tons of earth. And the problem is there's also a digital energy footprint after buying the product. So when you charge it for 5 years, it represents around 55% of its total emission. So a quick comparison between a book and a Kindle, so that we know actually which option is greener, and it's not clear, and it's never clear. So for the production of one book, you have 7 kilos of CO2. For the production of one Kindle, you have 168 kilos of CO2. But the thing is, for books, it represents only 300 to 400 pages. But a Kindle could have up to 1 million pages, which represents around 15,000 books. But it doesn't count because the Kindle lives only 5 years. So you cannot read 15,000 books in 5 years. So the maximum would be around maybe 300 to 400 books. So even if it can hold up to 15,000 books, it doesn't count. A lifespan for a book is undefined. You can have it for decades, but for a Kindle, it's only up to 5 years. Post-production for a book, it's 0. For a Kindle, it's 50% of its total emission. For the recycling, books are easy to recycle. Kindles are very hard to recycle. So again, which is the option that is greener? We don't know. But there is a clear idea, and this is the last slide. If you're reading more than 22 books in general, the e-reader becomes a better alternative. If you read less than 22 books, you should go buy the physical book. If you own a smartphone and using it for other purposes, digital books, whether audio or text, are a better alternative because you already have a device that you're using for something else. You can just use it for a book as well. It's not gonna count. So with that in mind, we should bear in mind that if the internet was a country, it would be the 6th biggest polluter in the world. And if we add all the emission generated by the electronic devices we need to browse the internet, it's by far the industry that generates most emissions. So I have one question for you. Which option is greener, actually? And I think it's a whole debate, and I think it's extremely complex to actually know the truth. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we have the last presentation, but I said I'm gonna close it at 6:15. The presentation, last one, I saw it. It's a great one, but I asked if they really reduce it, you're gonna have a full copy of the presentation. Essentially, Dr. Haifa is going to talk about the development while, you know, in the new technologies and also the upscaling, because the world is changing. So if we don't keep learning, and we can become redundant, basically. We come out without a job. So she will explain the whole process to stay basically marketable through the knowledge and the expertise that you build according to the market demand. Go ahead, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Haifa Maamar. I am the Executive Director of Emerging Technologies here at Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida, in the US. I'm very happy to be with you today and to talk about how we can empower the global workforce and how education, upskilling, and reskilling are important for a climate resilience. The first point I wanted to talk about is the intersection of education and climate resilience. Of course, we know that education plays a fundamental role in creating a climate resilient workforce. It provides individuals with the knowledge, skills, and awareness necessary to understand, adapt, and mitigate the impacts of climate change. So education, the importance of education in this context is really multifaceted. First, we need to make sure that we're understanding the climate science. And education in this case provides a foundational understanding of climate science, including the causes and effects of climate change. So this knowledge is essential for individuals to grasp the urgency and severity of climate-related challenges. Next, we need to make sure that we're developing technical skills. And so technical skills related to climate science, renewable energy, sustainable agriculture are all crucial for addressing climate challenges. And in order to do that, and in order to acquire these technical skills, of course, education is the key. It will provide individuals with the skills needed to work in sectors contributing to climate resilience. The next thing is that we need to make sure that we're fostering innovation and adaptation. And education, of course, will stimulate that creativity and innovation and enable individuals to develop, implement adaptive solutions to climate-related problems. So we need to make sure that the workforce that is working in climate resilience has a solid educational foundation and is better equipped to contribute to the development of resilient technologies and practices. And then we need to make sure that we're supporting green jobs and industries. And of course, education prepares individuals for careers in emerging green industries and jobs related to climate resilience. So having a well-educated workforce is very essential for driving the transition to a low-carbon economy. Now that we talked about the importance of education and the climate resilience, I want to also talk about the importance of technology and climate resilience. And the relationship between technology and climate resilience is also multifaceted and critical in addressing the challenges posed by climate change. Technology here always plays a pivotal role in enhancing our ability to understand, and mitigate, and adapt to the impacts of a changing climate. And in order to have that, we need to really have a relationship between technology and climate resilience. First of all, let's talk about how we can improve the data collection and monitoring. So we can use, in this case, from a technology perspective, we can use advanced sensors, satellite imagery, data analytics. All these will enable us to collect real-time data on climate-related variables, such as temperature, precipitation, sea level, and so on. But that will have an impact on climate because we will have accurate and timely data that are very important and crucial for monitoring changes in climate patterns, in predicting extreme weather events, and informing adaptive strategies. The second thing also how technology can help here is by creating climate modeling and simulation. We can use high-performance computing that facilitates complex climate modeling and simulation, which allows scientists to project future climate scenarios and assess potential impacts. How is that important for climate resilience? Because it creates, it assists in identifying vulnerable areas, evaluating adaptation strategies, and guiding policymakers in developing resilient infrastructures. Of course, technology help with renewable energy technologies. So using advancement in solar, wind, hydropower, and other renewable energy technologies contribute to the transition of low carbon economy. How is that important? Because, of course, it increases reliance on renewable energy sources, and that reduces greenhouse gas emission, or which mitigating climate change and promoting energy security and resilience. Using smart infrastructure, smart cities, smart buildings, smart cars, smart everything that's around you. So the integration of sensors, Internet of Things, smart grids, enhance the efficiency of resilience of infrastructure, such as building, transportation, and utilities. And that's very important for the climate, because these smart infrastructures allows for real-time monitoring, adaptive management, and efficient resource allocation, which minimize the vulnerabilities to climate-related stressors. And then, for example, precision agriculture. So precision agriculture employs technologies like GPS, drones, and sensors to optimize farming practices, and that increase agricultural resilience. And how is that important for the climate? Well, precision agriculture improves water use efficiency, minimizes environmental impact, and enhances food security. in the face of changing climate conditions. So with all these technologies that are needed for climate resilience, of course, we cannot have a generation of people that's equipped to just work in these industries. Yes, we can have educational institutions create programs to prepare the workforce for that, but also we have already an existing workforce. And the idea here is that we need to use that existing workforce and make sure that we are reskilling them, upskilling them, and cross-skilling them. So first of all, let's talk about upskilling. The upskilling is really the process of improving or developing existing skills through trainings. So this helps the employees advance their careers, find different roles and opportunities within the institution. Reskilling is the process of learning new skills outside. Make sure that we're creating awareness and understanding. So we need to make sure that we have initiatives to raise awareness and provide clear information on the importance of climate resilience. Education skills required. We need to integrate into formal education. So make sure that we're creating topics in schools, not necessarily just at the university level. We need to start very early, and we need to teach and create that awareness and knowledge on climate resilience. Access to education, we need to implement inclusive programs and accessible education initiatives to make sure that remote and underserved areas are also having access to that education. The lack of standardization, we need to develop industry-recognized standards and certification to ensure consistency and quality in climate-related education programs. And then for the rapidly changing technological landscape, we need to make sure that we're creating flexible and adaptive curricula. And we're providing our educators with continuing education, making sure that we're always up to date with all these technological advancements. So this is my presentation. Thank you so much for your support and for listening. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any question about this topic. Again, my name is Dr. Haifa Maamar. I am here from Full Sail University. Thank you so much.
Before 6:15, because Mehdi is gonna give us a rundown of the day. I just want quickly to summarize what the panelists have shared with us in a very, very short. I think Ibtihel shared with us Kbayroun, essentially very innovative in a sense of interacting with a child and a parent. And she also put it within the context of climate change. Actually, all of them have done it all along, or resilience to climate change. But still, the core is about learning and development. And since we are really fighting against climate change, it's very important that it starts at a very young age, because at the end of the day, they are the ones going to make a difference. I think that came very clear from here. I think Jalila focused on Tunisia, and she also addressed the climate change related to the education, but very specific about Tunisia. And we know that there is a need to reform the education. The education that I had, and my peers are younger than me, was great at that time. We were in a different world. So as I said to you, I'm learning. So whatever I learned during my education is still useful, but does not keep me going, you know, not for a job, but, you know, to stay connected and, you know, within the community. And that came very clear from Jalila, that really something have to be done on the education in Tunisia, but she put it as well, the context also, and she shared with us some of the issues, the challenges within the country, but definitely, yes, a lot has to be done when it comes to education in Tunisia. And then he had Haifa. You see, I'm getting, so it was very, I think he shared with us a tool that they developed, a digital tool, who gives access to people, first of all, cannot really or master the English language. He provides a service to have a summary of, you know, high ranked books that they are condensed within what you said, 20 minutes, and they have access. But then what I liked later on, in the context of global warming, he made a comparison between the paper book, what it goes in terms of trees and so on, but also the digital world, you know, the plaquettes and so on. And he left us with a question and saying, you know, we don't know which way, but it depends how many books you read, but you didn't say per year or per month. And, so you talk about per year, the 22 or 24 books. Yeah, okay. So I think our panelists really covered in a very nice way. And then Dr. Haifa, okay, we reduced it, but you will have a copy. Is definitely, you really have to take the time and listen. There is a lot, right? Is the latest what's happening in terms of upscaling and getting people, you know, to compete on the market with all the changes, but also she put it in the, you know, the climate change resilience. So we'd like to thank our panelists for their effort and the great work they have done. I know everybody has been working hard preparing this. It took them a few days. And I want to thank all of them for this great work. And before I forget, and before you start moving and give the microphone to Mehdi, I wanted to say, all of you, you're invited in my house on the 5th from, will be a reception between 4 o'clock and 7 p.m. So 4 p.m., 7 p.m. on the Palm. So I think Simonir will take care to give you the location. So all of you who are here, okay? Good, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Nejib. Thank you very much for all of you, all the efforts, the panelists, the moderators, all of you who have stayed late today. I know it's getting late, so I'm not going to make it long for you guys. So just as a recap of our first day, so the first panel talked about full chain hydrocarbon decarbonizations from source to consumer. And the key messages I took from there that it is more about decarbonizing the fossil fuels rather than suppressing them. We talked about improving efficiency, diversify energy sources, and obviously evolve. And then we also talked about the fact that everyone needs to contribute, in particular with the reduction, right? I mean, we consume a lot, we use a lot, so we need to, all of us, make an effort. Panel number 2, which was about energy and GHG emissions, mitigation technologies, and so the key messages were that methane leaks are bad, but technology can help to detect, to reduce, or to avoid it. And we've seen actually several examples who addressed each one of them. We also talked the fact that technology and artificial intelligence, which is today everywhere, allows to go further and do more, you know, like treating satellite images. We talked about nanotechnology and so on. And then we talked about renewable energy efficiency and synergies. So all these are very important points that were addressed in panel number 2. In panel number 3, which is about circular economy, and it's probably more fresh in your mind since it was not long ago, we talked about recycling, reusing, but it seems there are still a lot of challenges, and we still have a lot to do in order to have a good circular economy. We said that technology can help and will help. And we talked about smart cities and green data centers. And the idea is to bring the items closer to the users, right? So that we break this cycle where you have things that are moving all around the globe for most of the time, no reason. And panel number 4, which is finance and sustainability, the key message is we need to keep the trees, but to do that, we need to find ways to incentivize the people to help keep these trees instead of cutting them down. We definitely are failing to fund SDGs. SDGs is important, but we're really failing big time here. And then we talked about borderless financing, which actually is one of the tools to enhance social justice. And it allows to go beyond what these monsters of banks and so on are here to do, right? Which is leaving a number of the people outside of the chain. And then panel number 5, I think Nejib resumed it all just now, so there's no need for me to repeat what he just said. Tomorrow we have another day, an exciting day. We have again several panels, 4 of them to be exact. And the last one is about media. I think it will be, again, like today, interesting and exciting. We count on all of you to be around. And don't forget to pass on the links to your networks. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Si Mehdi. And I would like to extend our thanks to those who are following us online and those who are supporting us online. Talking about Safiya, thoughts also to Mehdi Mhamdi, who has been thinking about our food today and doing what it took to get us food on time. So despite the security. Thank you, Karim. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you, Nadia, very much for the photos and for the recording. And thank you, Sinabil.
Thank you very much, dear Munir. You are the boss of the ceremony, and this is really great. This is great. Bravo.
See you tomorrow.